If more people would drive them instead of being scared of the reliability, more people would love FDs and more people wouldn't complain that they're unreliable. What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? Welcome to looking at a bone stock FD, or I'm going to say bone stock. It's got a few modifications, you know, intercooler, exhaust, little bitty things, but still stock ECU. Got this thing dialed in, fresh set of turbos. Go check out the video series if you're interested in learning about that stuff. And honestly, if you watched that video series and you made it to this video, I got this nice smooth idle basically by just playing with the idle screw, the TPS, dialing everything in, getting it to set where it wants, and it's finally just sitting right where it wants. There's really, you target those voltage values and do this, that, and the other, and I could make a 20-minute video just talking about that and my struggles, but I'm so happy that we have this smooth idle. And here's something I want to show you too that's just super good. I'm going to shut the car off so we don't have all this noise. You know, this one's not a Bridgeport, right? So it doesn't get the cool street cred, the stoplight cred that the other ones do. But check this out. I'm going to hold you outside the car. You're going to watch that antenna. Check this out. Look at that power antenna that actually goes up and down. Look at that. I'm gonna look at this for a couple minutes because check this out. This is so cool. You turn the radio off. You gotta catch it. Look at it. This is the first FD I've ever seen in my entire life that has a working power antenna, and I am so stoked. Most of these cars have aftermarket radios. Most of these cars have been modified in some way, shape, or form. This one still has it. It's so good. That's like, you know, we gotta look at the stock radio. All right, so this car's Montego Blue on tan. It also has the Bose acoustic wave back here, which I didn't realize there was some spats and stuff in here to show you, but check out the Bose acoustic wave chilling in the back. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't crank the radio up and see how this sounds. I'm really not too worried about how it sounds. I just think it's so cool that all of it's still in here. So the owner of the car says it works, says it sounds great, and they troubleshot everything. Also, look at this. Privacy cover, strings, both sides, still intact, rear interior. I don't know, did they ever make, comment below, did they ever make a full tan interior, i.e. tan in the back as well, or are they always this two-tone tan? Now I've seen some red interiors, which is the jam. If you have a red interior FD, I'm super jealous. It's like my dream FD, silver with red. But curious on that, because I kind of like it. You know, the tan, you definitely gonna scratch it, scuff it, do whatever. But sweet rear wiper, that wiper squirter, sunroof car. So let's look under the hood. If you've been following the videos, you know what this thing looks like under the hood. But we'll show you. We got it all dialed in, and I am super happy with it. The engine bay needs a little bit of a clean, but it's not a huge deal. Look at that engine bay. So, some contraption of some HKS bits for a intercooler and intake kit. It's definitely not an HKS intercooler, I don't think. It's really not even mounted in there. I just swapped over to the full function engineering idler pulley to delete the air pump. So it had some pretty sketchy stuff on here before, so we got stock pulleys back on it, so everything's flowing right. Alternator charge is way better now. Everything's working, and guys, it's just doing the thing. The thing's running great. And here in a minute we'll go for a test drive. But you know, the black FD we did a video on, right hand drive, 99 spec front end, had a bunch of different stuff going on. There's just something about, I get it, it's stock body completely. I'm gonna close the hood. There's just something about, right, the 93 front end, albeit this one doesn't have a R1 lip on it, which the R1 lip kind of makes it look real nice if you can get one of those. And this one doesn't have the factory skirts on the side or the spats, but if you get one of these 93 spec front end with the R1 lip, the skirts and the rear spats, even if you have the R1 wing on it, it's just such a vibe with just a clean stock car. I really feel like the 99 spec front ends with those very aggressive turn signals, they trick you, right? The front end looks like the turn signal should be the headlight, and then when you put your pop-ups up, it just dates the car to the 90s again, right? But with this, that definitely looks like a turn signal, and you don't expect that to be a headlight. And then when you hit the pop-ups on this car, it's not as sweet and cool as, you know, the 99 spec front. If you have like the feed or the sleek headlights, the little slivers that open. But guys, this is just classic FD. Looks so good. You know, stock spring, stock ride height. It's got all the marker lights working. And, you know, I say like it's crazy, but a lot of the cars that I come around or see, or this, that, and the other, the ones that get a lot of time on the internet, this is, you know, old school 93 spec taillights, so not the circles. But a lot of those cars, they're 90s cars. They're 30 years old. They've had a lot of hands in the cake getting that car cooked up. So some stuff just doesn't work, you know? But it's just so cool to see when that works. So we're gonna go for a quick test drive, and we'll be back here. Alright guys, welcome to the test drive for this video. 1993 stock FD. Unfortunately, this one's running non-sequential right now, and I don't know why. I haven't figured it out. Not really within my scope of work, as when I replace the turbos, we're just replacing the turbos, stock ECU, so we're just driving it. But we're going to talk about what's amazing about a stock FD and what's super fun about it. And albeit this one I won't be able to like exactly show you, and it really would be better to put them side by side, and I'll show you the footage of this in another video with sequential versus non-sequential and this, that, and the other, right? But when you have a sequential turbo FD and you crack the throttle open, at 2,000, 2,500 RPM, it's going to be making 10 pounds of boost. And then it'll switch to about 8, and then it'll go back to 10. Right at 4,500, you'll get that changeover. And it's just such a magical experience to feel that. That's how this car was built. It's how it was designed. And, you know, single turbos and all this, that, and the other, they're awesome, and they make these cars way simpler and easier. But something about the original, how Mazda engineered it, and making that work perfectly, and experiencing what the car was intended to be, is just so cool. So, a stock FD though, like this one, as far as drivetrain, suspension, this, that, and the other, they drive so nice. If you have one that's not clapped out, if you have one that's in good shape, the suspension is smooth. I'm really tall, so I don't fit in this car, but the steering wheel, the input is nice, you know, the steering wheel position is nice. Everything is just very comfortable in this car as a car, right? When you think about it, it's not a race car to a lot of people, it's a street car, and they just drive really good. Good visibility everywhere, nice thin A-pillars, and when you look over your shoulder, you can see out the back of the blind spot. So we're gonna take this one for a little rip. Had a little bit of a boost leak that I was chasing down earlier, which isn't in this video, but hopefully we don't have that issue right now. It just wasn't making a boost, and I got the idle issues basically as good as they're gonna be, with the stock ECU and the air pump delete, the catless exhaust, the straight pipe, mid pipe, and the down pipe. It's just a little bit more than what this stock ECU can handle, I think, or it's more than I can figure out to make the stock ECU handle. So it's good, but I feel that it could be better. But it's not up to me to make that decision. That's not my car, and I'm not the one footing the bill for everything. So the car does just, man, guys that put this thing together, suspension wise and drivetrain wise, and just making the thing, it drives so nice. And this car only has, I thought it had a lot lower miles, but I've just never really paid attention. It has 100,000 miles on it, so I don't know if they've replaced bushings or done this, that, and the other to it. but it definitely feels like it does. And really the only thing that I have to complain about is I think the hatch rattles a little bit. There's a little squeak from over my left shoulder, but this thing pulls pretty good. And honestly, like compared to the RX-8, this car is actually on 200 tread wear tires because that was the only good set of tires you could find, like 16-inch wheels. But this thing grips. It drives much like a stock RX-8, except it really feels like the back wants to just snap out on you. The RX-8 has more of an understeery feeling, and this car just doesn't have that. The other thing too that's great, and it's an experience that you don't get that often, especially when you have modified cars and all your friends have modified cars, drift cars, track cars, this, that, and the other. It's largely, we have a lot of street cars I hang around with, but nobody has a stock, clean, mint, not ratchety, not loud FD. So getting in one of these cars and it not having external wastegates, not having a loud, gritty catback with no mid-pipe and a 4-inch downpipe and all this stuff coming off a big turbo. You get in this thing and it's just whisper quiet. It reminds me a lot of my Corvette. And if I could make this car, like if I could stretch it 6 inches so that I would fit in it better, I would honestly probably have one over the Corvette because they're just, I wouldn't say I've wanted one of these for longer, but they're just pretty cool, to have a pretty sweet FD. Man, let me tell you, I didn't put my 360 lens on, so I apologize for not getting a forward-facing view of this drive. But man, just wheeling around in a stock FD that's quiet, not funky, something about it. It's kind of, I've never driven a like fully stock first gen. I guess I have that sniper car was really, really nice, but so a lot of the FDs I drive are so modified. You don't find stock ones. Even my buddy Johnny, his yellow one, which I've done a video on, it's on a Power FC and the boost is turned up a little bit. And it's got a catback and it's got intakes and a bigger intercooler, and it's it rips and it's loud. And his interior doesn't rattle and doesn't do anything weird, but still, something about just getting into a wallowy 90s Japanese car and letting it flow through the corners and not being strapped in the seat super tight. I am wearing my seatbelt. Apologize for that in the last video. I was focused on making sure the car is mechanically sound, and man, this thing is it's an experience, guys. It's magical. That's why these cars are so revered in the import scene, is because it's a Supra, a little bit bigger of a car. They handle really well, a little bit heavy, lots of power. I guess most modified ones stock there the same as this, but an NSX, very handling oriented. 3000 GT, a little bit heavy, very complex car. Stock S13s, 300 CXs, all very good handling cars. But the experience of sequential twins and rotary and the smoothness of the power and all that in an FD, it just makes it stand out, and it's one of those cars that gets grilled for its reliability and always has issues, and I don't disagree with you. A 90s car with a rotary engine, any car with a rotary engine is going to have its fair share of extra maintenance you're going to have to do, to make it right. But I would challenge you to take a well-built FD and a well-built any other 90s era car to the track and see what issues they have, a stock one. And I would bet that any car that you're trying to drive as an enthusiast is going to have some issues, because you're pushing it. It's not like you're jumping in a Kia and just cruising to work at 2,000 RPM every day, and it runs 100,000 miles. Most of the time you get in your FD, you're driving it, you're wheeling it, you're giving it the beans, and you're trying to go hard, and that's where stuff just gets hot and it can break. And even as hard as I push my Corvette, it still gives me issues every now and again. It's fighting me a little bit right now, this stupid charging system thing, but man, I'm really pretty happy with it. I think, you know, as long as the owner of the car is happy with it and he gets it, I've got it running pretty good. And obviously you can kind of see behind me, you know, all the smoke, the oil from the blown up turbos has exited the exhaust, and I think we're rocking in a free world. I'm pretty happy. All right, guys, we're back from the test drive. Stoked with how this car is running. I still think that there is a little bit of a tricky or something weird going on with the sequential stuff. I didn't modify any of that, nor did I get the chance to drive it before putting the turbos on. So it was smoking really bad. I didn't want to drive it while it was smoking really bad, but the owner said the car was running fine. I don't know what his definition of fine is, right? So with the fresh set of turbos on there, everything hooked up back how it is, that's how it's running. And we're going to leave it like that unless we need to change it. So, but I'm happy with the car. It's a great experience to be around a stock one, and especially one that's just tastefully quiet and a little bit more, you know, it's enthusiast-ish, but largely just a good example of a stock FD RX7, and you just don't see those. They're always modified, or they look like this RX8 over here with the stripes, and they've got paint and they're different colors and wings and all sorts of carbon aero and stuff, and they look really good when you do them up like that. But something about just the ambiance of a stock one, you know, especially sitting here next to a stock body RX8, you know, I put you up in the air, you guys can see, like, the RX8's a pretty big car compared to the FD. You know, the RX8's got a much bigger hips, the front end's taller, the whole car is taller, but that FD is just clean. So I hope you guys enjoyed the past few videos working on this FD. I know it's not some crazy build with flames and Johnny two-step and all sorts of crazy stuff, but a lot of guys probably have stock twins on their FD. A lot of guys probably, you know, would want to install that stuff, or maybe they're putting their FD back to stock, or maybe you're thinking about buying a stock FD and you're kind of scared of it. Well, if you go check out the other videos, I haven't done a simplified sequential, you know, done all that setup on something, but I can try to get a car lined up to be able to do that on. If you want, comment below. But largely, follow the diagrams, put it back together, get the thing running good, adjust your TPS a little bit. And I'd say there's a little bit of an art to it, but there's shops that can take care of you. You might just have to wait a while to get it done. And you can have a super reliable, super fun, super stock, and just cool car to drive, man. It's a magical experience to get to drive an FD. And I wish more people could, because I think if more people would drive them instead of being scared of the reliability, more people would love FDs and more people wouldn't complain that they're unreliable. Because, like I said, most of the time if you're driving your car like an enthusiast, which FD owners are pretty much enthusiasts, things break when you're pushing your car hard. So with that, guys, thank you guys very much for watching the video. Definitely go check out the other stuff on the channel if you want to learn about rotary engines, you want to learn about RX8s, want to learn about first gens. We built a race car, we do engine builds, the whole deal. And check out the next video, because we went and got an engine out of an RX8 at the junkyard, and it was super fun, and it's a super funny video, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. So with that, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Keep it rad. So the dog is in the window up there. See her? Window of the house. Had to put the dog inside because when I go on test drives, she'll follow me out the driveway and down the street and all over the place. So we'll just get the window view of the dog for this video. But Letty's super chill. She was running all day yesterday, hanging out with her dog friends, and she's wore out today. So with that, peace, guys. See you in the next one.